Hey everyone, Luke Riley here with the always effervescent Lucy O'Brien.
That's
from
it.
IGN Australia.
That's my middle name.
Always effervescent.
Yeah, well, in some circles.
Yeah. And we are here today to talk about a little game we saw yesterday. You may have heard of it, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely blown me away, basically. And I'm a huge GTA fan from all the way back, but this is just next level kind of stuff.
So we saw roughly 40 minutes of it.
Yeah, roundabout.
And the demo was split into two, so we sort of were introduced to the three main protagonists, and then we got a sort of slice of heist action, because heists are a massive part of GTA 5.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we started as as Franklin. Demo begun as Franklin in a helicopter, a kilometre above this incredibly large world, which is something like 5 times. When you count the oceans, 5 times the size of Red Dead Redemption. It's incredibly big.
Yeah.
And Franklin he jumps out of this chopper. You're tumbling through the sky. There's a cargo plane taking off in the distance. You can see.
He is wearing a parachute.
Over the crest, you can see sort of Los Santos in the sort of haze. And he yanks the chute, and now we're like sort of cresting over this ridge, and there's like a big cat down there, and some deer sort of frolicking down the waterfall that we sort of hooked around. We sort of went down towards a river below, and there were some hikers and some fishermen.
Yeah, and it was beautiful, right? And I sort of feel that they're really taking some cues here, just in that first little section with Frankie.
Frankie.
From
feel like this now.
That's from Red Dead.
Yes,
they're really sort of paying attention to the positive feedback they got from some of the quieter moments in Red Dead, like the first entrance to Mexico.
Yeah.
And they've kind of heightened that, I guess, by adding a really kind of atmospheric score to the game, and that was underplaying that whole the first parachute section, and I just found that added so much to kind of, really give the sense of the landscape a little bit more weight. Yeah,
it helps, really kind of set this atmosphere off it's just a really big place, and you're just such a tiny little part of it. And I guess in GTA's past, whenever you were out of a car, there was just silence. And in a lot of ways, that kind of does the same thing. Like, you kind of get a feel for like this vast world that doesn't really care about whether you're in it or not. But the music really does kind of help, I guess, with this atmosphere that they're really trying to create here.
Yeah. So basically, you can, whenever you're not on mission, you can switch between these three characters at any time.
Yeah, which is a fantastic idea, because I'm wondering whether or not this is a sort of a way to avoid you being stuck in the middle of nowhere. Like, if Franklin had landed elsewhere, not on this sort of beaten path with some ATVs and an RV that he could have stolen, I guess.
Yeah.
That you'd be kind of stranded, I guess, in theory.
Yeah.
So I think it seems like a fantastic way to get you moving around the world really fast, seeing lots of different locations.
And it just adds so much character. I mean, seeing it in action, because of course we've known this for a while, that this is the three protagonist thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
But actually seeing it in action is quite spectacular, and it was very, very cinematic. So
yeah, it sort of pulls back,
and then
all the
kind
way
of
up,
jarringly, and then goes back down. But of course, it was all about the contrast between this kind of really relaxing parachute experience that you have with the first character, and then moving on to Trevor, who is in his underwear.
Yeah, he's in his underwear.
He is covered in blood, and he's like surrounded by like dead bodies. Spoiler alert. And empty bottles, and he looks like he's just had a really, really, really shitty night, basically.
Yeah,
and it was just such a, immediately you're kind of reminded that this is Rockstar, this is a Grand Theft Auto game. This has got all the character and all the kind of boldness of the previous GTAs.
Yeah, and so now we're sort of, he's in this like boat, one of the sort of inflatable Zodiac style boats, in his underpants and a pair of hiking boots, just like careening over these waves, and the water physics, which are all redone, look absolutely like shockingly amazing. Basically, like just the way that sort of the little foam as the waves go over, and the way the boat is kind of like launching over these waves, it's just crazy. And what was also cool was that now, just like all aircraft in GTA games come with parachutes, some boats now will come with scuba gear. So he dons a scuba gear, and then he's over the side, and all of a sudden you're underwater and you're exploring this like fascinating, colourful place underwater.
Yeah. And, you know, obviously, again, just that underwater section really gave me a sense of just how kind of massive. I mean, because it's not just horizontal, it's vertical as well. So you can explore the skies, you can explore, you know, under the sea. And, you know, we saw, like, wrecks and...
Yeah, it was like a wreck of either a ship or some kind of oil rig.
Like oil rig or something like that. And basically, you know, there are lots of... there are going to be a lot of sort of hidden Easter eggs and things for players.
Yeah, people are going to be so encouraged to
explore. Who
Yeah.
actually take the time to comb every part of this landscape. There's going to be a lot there for the sort of completionist.
And it just looked amazing underwater. Like there was just these like swords of light just like kind of streaking through the water, and it was kind of this kind of slightly hazy like water effect.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was brilliant.
It was beautiful.
And then we moved straight from there. There were some sharks.
There were some sharks.
Yeah, that's right. There were some sharks that began to circle Trevor at this point, and then we moved straight from there to Michael.
Yeah.
Who was coming out of a restaurant or a club.
Yeah, in Vinewood, and basically Michael is, for me, Michael is one of the more appealing characters.
Yeah, that was your favourite trailer, wasn't
it? Was also my favourite trailer of the three that were recently released. You know, Michael is this kind of down and out. Well, he's a rich dude. He's got a wife and kids, but he is miserable.
He's bored, isn't
and
he? He's
chaotic,
and just
and just sort of doesn't really know what to do with his life. And I really liked him as a character, and for me, he was the more interesting of the three.
Yeah, right.
Even, you know, the guy in his underpants.
Yeah.
But
it's his free roaming demo was definitely the most GTA.
Yes,
like
GTA-esque, but you know, it was very much also in a sort of GTA environment. You know, it was urban, and you were surrounded by all those sort of little characters who talk to you as you pass and shout things at you, and you know, he was in that kind of living, breathing world, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. But the detail here doesn't stop either. Like, you're on this strip and it's like Hollywood Boulevard, and there's sort of stars lining the curbside.
Yeah.
And you've got this. It's kind of like I couldn't decide whether it was kind of like a dusk or a sort of a dawn. There was kind of like a soft light over the horizon, so it wasn't quite pitch, like it wasn't quite night. But all the sort of lights and all the stores were still on, so you had all this sort of colourful glow, and it was really kind of vibrant. But it still had this. You could still see this sort of grime on the surface that had been just handcrafted to give the city that's kind of like big city, kind of filthy, if you look close enough, kind of look to it. And it was just, just remarkable.
I mean, again, just the attention to detail is incredible.
Yeah, and you know, to be fair, it always is, but it increases the I guess the more, you know, the more we get into these generations, it just increases and increases. And here it's just off the chain.
And so with Michael, we saw a sort of more traditional kind of random encounter, I guess.
Yeah, again, which is some stuff they've learnt that people responded to really well from Red Dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, these dynamic events. Yeah.
And this woman, I think her name was Lacey, this celebrity.
Something like that, yeah, some kind of celebrity.
Yeah, who needed to escape the paparazzi, so Michael gets in her car and drives her away, and she's like, "Don't you know who I am?" And blah, blah, blah. And that was cool. That was, it was just a little taste of the sorts of things you can expect to encounter in this urban environment.
We're up in the hills back at sort of her, like, luxurious house, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, we're out of that. And then even there, like, we're just outside where her garden is. And you can see, say, like, there's a deer crossing the road up ahead. And there's, like, butterflies kind of, like, hovering around this bush. And there's just so much, like, micro detail which is just stunning in a game which is as large as this.
Yeah.
Like it floors me just the layers of detail on every sort of level of this game.
Yeah.
It's
But
crazy.
then overlay it again just with that character. I mean, that's
Oh yeah.
you know, that's the amazing thing, is that they can have this world that is so full of stuff to look at and do, but keep that character sort of consistent. You know, that sort of GTA vibe, that sort of stick it to the man. Well,
Yeah,
I wanted to say a swear word, but I wasn't. I shouldn't.
But just quickly before we move on to the mission, I think what is so quintessentially GTA here is that half of this demo is dedicated to doing very, very little. Like, very little was achieved. We walked, we watched Franklin walk along a path briefly and look at some fishermen. Trevor, he rowed a boat for a few minutes and then swam around. Like, when you say it like that, it's like, well, nothing's really going on. But it's not about that. It's not about what's not going on. It's just about, you just cut through all the noise of all these other things, and it's just, you're in a place, this hugely believable and dynamic world, and you just don't feel the need to do anything really other than just observe and you know, just prod it and see what happens.
Yeah. So the second half of the demo we saw was a heist.
Yeah, a minor heist.
A minor heist.
Apparently,
Yeah.
This title was.
Yeah.
And yeah, we didn't see any of the lead up, so apparently a lot of these heists involve quite a bit of preparation. So by the time we got to the heist, you know, apparently the garbage truck had already been collected, and there was a tow truck had already been collected, and the outfits and all this kind of stuff had already been done.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of got dropped into just the actual heist itself.
And it was basically an example of how this trio works together, and how you, the player, controls them in these more sort of dynamic experiences.
Yeah. And I think I was surprised at how well it kind of worked. Like, at first I thought, well, I don't know what I thought. I just didn't know how it was going to work. This kind of switching between characters during a mission, and not all the missions apparently will switch between all three. Some of them will just have two. Some of them will just have one. But this one I had all three. But I think it does a really good job of sort of ironing out any sort of dud spots in a mission.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at how quickly it actually happened. Like, and, you know, suddenly we're driving a garbage truck along, and then we switch to Terrence and we're on Overwatch and we're watching, you know, the armored truck arrive, and then we've got to then we have to park the garbage truck on the road, sort of, you know, across the road to block it, and then suddenly we're in the tow truck careening down the alleyway to smash the armored truck off the road, and it all happens really quickly. So yeah, I was kind of impressed at how it worked.
I guess I'm just intrigued as to how you learn how to use these guys to the best of your ability, and how, you know, and it's just something, because it was so out of context, it's just something that will obviously become more intuitive for the player as they start playing around with combos and stuff like that, and you know, more, you know, once we had more sort of context, I guess, for any given situation.
Yeah, well, I guess you need to learn how to exploit their skill sets as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Because each of them has a special move, which we didn't really see demonstrated, but we explained it after the fact. And like Franklin's ability to, he's a great driver, so he can sort of charge up an ability to slow down time during corners and you know, take insane corners and that sort of stuff. And Trevor was, because he's so unpredictable, you can activate a sort of a temporary boost to his damage and his resistance to damage and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Which is all very interesting stuff.
Yeah, and there was a lot of stuff we didn't see, as you mentioned.
Oh yeah, heaps more stuff we didn't see. Like,
I mean, in terms of fundamentals.
Yeah, like customization is back.
Yeah.
From San Andreas, and it doesn't just stop at car customization. It extends to weapon customization, which I think people will probably respond to quite well. But also character customization. There was a point where we were walking down that strip, and I was like, we could go into this tattoo parlor right now, get a tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. Like outfit changes, I guess. as well. And we didn't really see any, like, apparently there are hundreds of different activities to do, like ranging from yoga to arms trafficking.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't really see any of that either. And one other thing which didn't get explained, but definitely was a factor during the demo that we saw, was how the wanted system works. There's definitely something afoot with how the wanted system works. But it just hasn't been explained yet. So I guess we have to wait to find out. But yeah, there was a pretty drastic shootout and the guys had like a 4-star wanted level, but it quickly either disappeared or shrunk significantly during their getaway, where they had to dump the garbage truck and then burn the garbage truck out with I think they set it off with a grenade.
Yeah, it was a grenade. Yeah,
they blew up the garbage truck and got away in their pre-positioned getaway car, which was actually that was one of the other parts of the preparation. So that's kind of I guess the thing that interests me is that was a minor heist.
Yeah.
And it was all kind of quick. It all happened kind of quick in the demo. But that involved, what sounds like a bit of preparation. Like you had to get the trucks and you had to get this and that. So I can't wait to see what the major heists involve.
Yeah.
I know they involve. I know some of them will involve getting more people on board, which will change what your cut ultimately is from the heist itself. So apparently you can get more muscle on board, or you can get more drivers, or that sort of stuff, and you have to decide, who you bring on board to share in the cut. But yeah, it sounds kind of fascinating. Money apparently is a massively important asset.
Yeah.
In GTA 5.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's basically just from that little slice that we saw, it's just shaping up to be quite stunning. Not that we expected anything less.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, at no point going into the demo did I think,
you're on the back foot, Rockstar.
I don't know. Is this really going to be any good? It's like it's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be fantastic.
I wasn't really prepared for sort of how big the world is. It is huge, and I can't wait to get into it. I think going in to the demo, I was still most excited probably this year about, hey, it's the next generation console year coming out. Like, no, GTA 5 that's the most exciting thing that's going to happen to me this year, I think.
Well, I think that's the highest praise that you can give the game.
Personally, GTA 5 is the most exciting thing that's going to happen to me this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a great thing.
For me.
I think it's a great thing. Anyway, for everything else on GTA 5, keep it locked into IGN.
Do that.